like and subscribe.
And we're on. Welcome back to the Dad's Beer Club podcast. Tonight, I'm joined by my second military veteran, Alun. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No, very pleased that you decided to come on. We connected via Facebook. I think you replied to one of the Facebook posts that I'd made recently on my new podcast. And you was very kind to share with me some of the experiences that you've through, and pleased that you've decided to come on and actually share your experiences for other people. And hopefully, if anyone else is going through a tough time and can relate to some of the things that you're talking about, then hopefully we can signpost a way to get those guys help. Alan, one of the things we always do first on Dad's Beer Club is just check what you're drinking for this evening.
I've got Heineken.
Gone for the Heineken. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still on the Coors Light. I just can't shift.
Is that a big stein you've got?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I did the first one, and I did the first one with quite a good friend of mine, and we were getting through some drinks, and I was just continuously having to re-pour. I thought, let's just go with a 2-pinter straight away. Are you a big drinker, Alan, or not? Not really?
I used to be. I used to be until well, you're in the military. I think it's part of the course.
Yeah.
But since what's happened recently, when we get into it, I try not to drink as much.
Okay.
Because it's not good.
No, of course. Yeah. I'm actually not a very big drinker, believe it or not. I probably should have called this
2-pinter with you.
Yeah. I probably should have called this Dad's Tea Club, but it didn't really have the same ring.
Same ring, no.
So look, Alan, same thing we do with everybody. Let's go back to the very beginning. Let's talk about growing up, where you grew up. Was your dad around? What was your relationship like with your dad? That sort of thing.
So I grew up in a little place called Abertwysog in South Wales. You'll never see it on a map. It's very close to Merthyr Tydfil. Okay. Where a lot of people probably not heard of because it's the benefit capital of Britain. I grew up during the miners' strike, so I got born in 1978. So my formative years were the miners' strike. Not having much money. There was I had 5 males in the house at the time. So if I wanted to have a bath, I was 5th in the bath.
Right.
We literally had a tin bath in front of the fire. So if you can imagine, you have to like break the skin to get into the water. Yeah. I tell that to the wife, she's like, "You're Victorian. You're born in Victorian times." So we didn't have much money. My old man was around, but he didn't work. My daughter's just walked in on me. Go away. So we didn't have much money. My old man was there. He didn't work, so he was always like odd jobbing. I thought at the time I had a lovely relationship with him, but as you get older, you see things. So you cut away all the loveliness. I started working when I was 12, 13 on paper rounds, and then milk rounds and meat rounds, and most of the money I used to earn, I used to give back to my parents. It was rent at 13. Yeah. And it wasn't until I was 16 when I joined the military. And my father passed away suddenly as soon as I joined the army. That's when I started finding that he wasn't probably the best dad that I should have had. I was really raised by my grandmother, to be honest. Okay. But I had my father on a pedestal for years and years and years until you start doing family research and you're asking people. And you find out, he's a bit of a waster, to be honest.
Right. Wow. And was that in your older years that you doing that research, or was you still a fairly young man?
Oh no, it's been recently. It's I think now as I've got older and my problems have started, and I've talked honestly with my 2 brothers. I've got 2 elder brothers who are both in the military as well. They were when I was the age of 9, they joined the military. Okay. So I never really had I was always their younger brother, and they always just spoiled me when I was a kid. So I never really had adult chats with them. And it wasn't until, you're a few years old and you've had a few beers and you're talking about the past times and you go, "Oh, you know how Dad was good," and they go, "Yeah, I don't think he really that was."
Right.
So
I suppose so they would have been a little bit older than you. They would have known more of him, and yeah, it's very similar for me. So my not on my dad, because my dad never existed really, but my mum passed away a couple of years ago, but she was very, very poorly from when, I mean, for the last 10 years. So I've got younger brothers and sisters who never really knew her as the person she was. Yeah, I do, because I remember her. She was, I think, I was about 18, 19 when she got ill, whereas my younger brothers and sisters are like 10, 11. So I obviously knew her growing up, but they don't. So I have all the memories of what she was like, what she was about, whereas for them, it's
poorly
just
mum.
what they, yeah. So I definitely can relate to that. I was going to say to you, actually, what was it that drove you to join the military? But I guess it's just big brothers doing the job.
And there was nothing where I'm from. There was all only factory work. And I had a taste of that when I literally had it in my mind from 9 years old. I'm joining the army, because obviously if you have nothing when you're poor,
yeah,
and then you see your brothers coming home from like 85 onwards with money in their pocket, going out spending it, having new cut, and doing that. So that's what I was going to do. At 15 and a half, when I left school, I tried to go back to do 6 months before my intake date in the army. School went, no, I'm not having you back. So I had to go and work and it's all it is around Merthyr was factory work at the time.
Yeah.
And it was horrid. I worked in a Christmas cracker factory, and I worked in a chocolate factory, making the pink and whites. You know the Tesco's pink and whites?
Yeah.
I used to make them and the cheese strings. Cheese straws, and it wasn't for me.
No,
I didn't like it at all.
No. So joining the military at 16.
Yes.
Is it still the same age now that you can join the army?
Yes.
Is it 16 still? Yeah.
I think they've upped it as well now, so it's older as well. But when I joined, if you failed your running test on day one, that was you out.
Right.
Whereas now it's more of a, okay, we'll give you a chance to build you up.
Build up the fitness.
Yeah. But they say it's gone softer. It's not. It's just adapted. I think it's adapted to the way that when myself or you. I don't even know your age, mate, but
35.
Yeah. So you're only a bit younger than me. We were always out. As soon as you walk up in the morning, and you come in when it gets dark, and you're out constantly. Whereas kids these days, it's like mine. I'm trying to get mine to go outside, and they're like, "Oh no, it's evil."
Yeah, no, exactly. You didn't go as far as saying kids today are soft, but they are. that's what it is.
Well, I think when we get into it a bit more that's where I struggle. I can't let go of the military side of it, where I go to my kids, no, it's okay. You don't, I'm like, no, you will go and do that, or stop crying. I didn't feel it. Get on with it.
Yeah.
And it's trying to switch off that. I'm a squaddy to be I'm a dad.
Yeah.
So
at 16, joining the military, coming from I think you said former mining town, so not a lot going on.
Village. It's a village. Literally, it's we call it the butterfly village, because if you look at it from a mountainside, it was in the shape of a butterfly.
Right.
But it's literally 8 streets, and that was it.
So going from that to the army, where you're being shipped all over the world, you've got a massive extended family, I guess, with the other squaddies that you're in. Is that a culture shock to you, adapting to that?
Massive. Thankfully, I had a little bit of background. I had a little bit of knowledge because I knew my brothers. Yeah, and I'd been to the base. I'd been to Northern Ireland to visit them. I went over to Germany to help one brother move and stuff. So I had a little bit of. I had a little bit of knowledge. All I knew about was drinking. All I seen was the drinking side of it. Because I went over with my dad, and he could drink, and he was a big bloke. He was about 6'4", weighed about 20 stone, so he could put a few ales away. And that's what I kind of looked up to him. And, oh, he's big. He had hands like shovels. So I had the military side of it. I thought, yep, I can do that. I can drink. I can learn to drink. But go in there and getting shouted at, and the discipline side of it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
But mixing with blokes from all over the UK, at first when I was 16, naive, going, oh, why are you shouting at me for? Why is my shoes going out the window and stuff? That was a bit of a culture shock. But again, looking back on it, best time ever. I'm meeting up with some of the guys again for the reunion next year. In a few months after this pandemic's over.
Yeah.
Even the guy who threw my boots out the window's coming. So, I absolutely loved that. And I lost my father when I was in training. And I reckon them boys I was in my room with, and I'm still in contact with now, they probably kept me on a straight and narrow and kept me in the military and let me have a career, to be honest. Otherwise, I would have just gone, no, I'm coming home to my mum, and gone to the factories and end up not being disrespectful to the lads that stayed at home, but I can walk into the pub now and tell you where they're all sat, even though I haven't been down there in years.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
Yeah.
So I thankfully stayed in the army when my dad passed away, and had the chance to travel to some of the best shitholes in the world.
Do you think, because I think, judging by what you were saying, at that point in your life, you sort of thought your dad was a good guy, you had a lot of respect for him.
I thought he was a god. I thought he was a god.
Yeah. So his passing at such a young age, how does that change or affect you?
I was there. I was actually sat by his bedside when he passed. Me and my brothers would take it in what we call stags. You sit there for a couple of hours with him each. Yeah. And it was my time with him when he passed. At the time, I think, well, it snapped me for a few weeks. I was like, oh, fuck me, I've seen Dad die. Pardon my language. But I think it also made me tougher.
Yeah.
Because I saw death. That was my first real, first time seeing somebody die. I saw my granddad when he was dead, and he was getting put into a bag to get taken out of the house. And that's when people actually died at home, a lot. So I think it made me a bit tougher, made me a bit harsher as well, to be honest, because my idol had gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I made my other brother then a bit of an idol as well, false idol, because he was closest to me in Aldershot at the time and stuff. But yeah, I missed him a lot. I probably drank too much as well at the time, even though I was only 16, 17. But yeah, it made me harsher, if anything.
Yeah.
Bit of a twat at times. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. So those first couple of years in the military, what's that like?
Well, I joined up surprisingly as a chef.
Okay.
So at the time, it was 2 years of training. But I spent most of that playing rugby. And it was fun. It was supposed to be educational, but we had an Asian sergeant who was a paratrooper who just liked throwing our kit out the stuff and just loved punishing us. So we're polishing the floor with our socks and stuff, and polishing stairs with boot polish and socks. You see us walking around one day with only one sock on because we'd use it to polish the floor. But again, I look back at it and I laugh, and I look back at it with lovely times, and I can't wait to meet up with the guys again shortly.
Yeah.
But then, literally, at 17 and a half, I got posted to Northern Ireland during the marching season, and that was hard. That was
what is that? I mean, I don't know what marching.
Well, marching seasons when the Protestants, the Orange Order, feel it's their right to march through certain towns and areas around Northern Ireland. And then they're doing it because they say it's their right. The Catholics think, hang on, you're doing that through our area. That's wrong. And then that causes the riots. And that's marching season is the busiest time was the busiest time in Northern Ireland for soldiers.
Yeah.
And that's when you used to see the news of Drumcree and all that. So I was literally thrown into Northern Ireland during marching season in 1995. 1996 it was. Into Londonderry. And as a chef, my job was to feed 700 people. And we thought it'd be a crew of us. But it was 3 of us. Me, a sergeant, and a corporal. And me being a private, I got all the shitty jobs.
Yeah.
And I was literally doing something stupid like 17, 18 hours a day. Going back to my room, ironing my kit, washing my kit, getting an hour's sleep, and then going back into work.
Yeah.
Feed the lads again. And that went on for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I just threatened my boss one night with a knife. Said, get me out of here. And next morning, he was pissed, by the way. He came in for a bacon sandwich, shit-faced. Next morning, it was an interview without coffee in his office. And I looked, he goes, what do you want to do? And I looked out the window and a guy was walking past with a dog, throwing this lump of Semtex for this dog. And I went, I want to do that. So that's when I became a dog handler over in Northern Ireland.
Just like that?
Yeah, literally, it was threatening my boss. And I got moved to the dog unit. And they were the best 3 years of my army career.
Okay.
It's a brain on a chain, they used to call it.
It's what, sorry?
Brain on a chain. So
brain on a chain?
The dog's a brain.
Right.
But I absolutely loved that.
Okay.
And on Remembrance Sunday now, when you see the cenotaph, I always march with the dog unit, and we're the smallest association there.
Okay.
And I still march with them guys. So you see us all with rope leads around us, and we even get squaddies on the day going, why have you got rope on you? And we go, oh, Army Tug of War champions, because they don't know who we are.
Tug of War champions, that's class. So, speaking to you before, just briefly before this, you mentioned obviously having a great time in the army, but then you leave. So what happened then? Why did you decide to leave?
So met my wife. I'd been deployed to the Falklands for 6 months, and then literally I came back from the Falklands. Let me get this the right way around now. I'd been deployed somewhere. It was either Canada or Falklands. Came back. Got told I had a month's leave. It was Falklands. Got told I had a month's leave. During that month's leave, got a phone call one weekend. Taff, we need you down in Castlemartin. You're quite close near there. Castlemartin's on the coast in Pembrokeshire. We need you down there for 1 week. Just do 1 week's work and you can go back on your leave, Taff. Can you do that for me? Boss, not a problem. Boss was a Welshman. Loved the bloke. No problem, boss. Went there. I was there 2 weeks. Boss went, Taff, sorry to tell you this. Can you come to Salisbury with us? Come with the tanks. And when you come to Salisbury, we'll give you the rest of your month off. I was like, all right, boss, yeah, no problem. Love you, boss. Great. Got to Salisbury. I was there for 4 weeks on my own. Got back to camp. Boss went, right, Taff, this time off I promised you. I went, yes, boss. He went, you're going to Canada. I said, when? He goes, tomorrow. Wow. So I flew to Canada for 4 months. Was it 4 months? 4 months in Canada. Came back. Met my wife that night when I got back.
Okay.
Enjoyed 3 weeks leave with her. I asked her to marry me.
Wow, and then, no messing around.
No. I don't know why. It was something just special.
Yeah.
And then I got back to work on the Monday morning, and the boss went, Taff, you've been posted. I said, have I? When? He goes, July. This was October. I was like, what happened, boss? And he goes, paperwork. So right, so when do I move? He goes, Friday. So where to? And he goes, Germany. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a fucking... So I phoned my new boss, and he goes, right, you're working over Christmas? I went, that's not happening, boss. He goes, why not? I said, I'm getting married. So that got me off on the wrong foot with my new boss then.
Yeah.
Got over there. I literally spent, I think I was only over there a month and a bit on my own before Christmas. But then that's silly season for chefs because it's Christmas parties.
Of course.
Everybody wants Christmas parties. Because of my good reports from my old boss, they went, right, you're on the Christmas party team. So there's 3 of us doing all the Christmas parties, feeding them all. And we were doing 3 or 4 Christmas parties a day. So if you can imagine, we were working from 6 in the morning to about 3 in the morning. You have a few beers.
Yeah.
Go back, get in your kit and go back to work again. And that was constant for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I used to work in hospitality myself, and it was Christmas that made me get out of it. I remember, finishing at 2, 3 in the morning, and then having to get back in the next day, and I was just like, nah.
The thing is that when you're serving in the army, when you're serving these functions, people go, "Do you want a beer, mate?" And you go, "Yes, please." You've been working your nuts off all day. So have a couple of beers, go back, get your bed, and come back in. And my boss went to me, "You've been fucking drinking, you?" I went, "No, I am, sir. I had 2 beers last night with the function." He goes, "No, you've been drinking." I went, and I looked across, and my staff sergeant at the time couldn't stand up. He was absolutely shit-faced. And I went, "Could it be him?" Oh, my boss went mental at me, and again, I was like, "Right, whatever." We didn't get on.
Yeah.
We then got word that Iraq was kicking off again, second time. So we all got ready to go over there. At this time, I'd moved my wife over. We'd got married. We'd come over.
In Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old are you?
I was 23.
Okay.
And the wife was just turned 19. I married her on the day before her 19th birthday.
Wow.
So she didn't know anybody. She didn't have a clue. So I said, right, if you want, you go back to the UK. Go back to mum and dad. Go and find a house in the UK, whatever. Or just changed all my next of kin forms. And went to war. I was there 3.5 weeks, ready for the big push. Moved around.
Just before that, Taff. Sorry, do you prefer Taff? I know I've been calling you Alun, but
yeah, that's what everybody calls me. Yeah,
Taff. So. Okay. Just before that, obviously going to, because Northern Ireland was bad, but going to the war in Iraq, everything that you see on the TV, are you concerned?
No, I'd already been to Bosnia in between.
I've been to Bosnia. Okay.
It's what you train for.
Okay.
And at the time, it's shits and giggles, isn't it? For me, I wasn't worried. My brother survived the first one, so this one wasn't going to be any different, was it?
Okay.
Not in my eyes, and it's not very nice writing your will when you're over there at 23. You see a Black Hawk going down. One of the Black Hawk helicopters, the Americans crashed not far from us. Did malfunctions and stuff. So you think, yeah, it's not going to happen to me. I think a lot of soldiers think of that when you first join up.
Yeah.
And speaking to them since in Phoenix House, where you see a lot of disabled veterans now, they're like, no, it's never going to happen to me. But it's going to happen to somebody, isn't it? But
yeah,
at the time, you're all invincible soldiers. So just before the big invasion, we move up to our starting point. And I'm going, I don't feel very well, boss. I'm not feeling very well. And he goes, well, I need somebody to stay awake at night. And I went, well, I don't think I'm going to be getting any sleep, so I'll stay awake, boss, and I'll keep the food going for the guys that's working night shift coming in. And I literally sat next to my cook like that. Oh, Jesus. All night. A couple of Americans come in and went, hey, man, you don't look very good. I went, okay, no, not. So they gave me a couple of their American drugs. Kept me going till 6. Boss came in and went, Taff, med centre. So I walked a mile and a half to the med centre. Walked the medic up. He went, go back to bed. Come and get me at 2. Okay. Went back to my pit. He woke me up at 3 o'clock shouting at me, why haven't you come and saw me? and the patch of sand next to me turned red where I'd been coughing up blood. He made me walk back to the med centre, took me in there, started going to, Doc, this is the one I told you about who didn't come to see me. She looked at me and went, lie down, Court Watkins. You took the medic outside and ripped him a new arsehole. Within 15 minutes, I was in ITU. By the time they put a catheter in me and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm all right. A couple of drugs brought me around. 12 hours later, I'm sat on a bedpan. This one nurse telling me how good my eldest brother, what a chef he was, because my eldest brother worked as a chef in Northern Ireland in hospitals, in military hospitals, and they all loved him. And they was like, oh, your brother's amazing. And I was like, I don't really care. I'm trying to have a shit. And I literally fell off the bedpan and off the bed. And I woke up and he was putting a central line in my neck. And that was me getting flown home then. And then after that's when I had my first nervous breakdown. Because they didn't bother telling my wife I was ill. Or nothing like that. So they told my mum I was ill, but they didn't tell my wife because they hadn't caught up with the paperwork.
Right.
So that's when I first saw the army. I was like, no, the army's not for me now. Obviously just got married, wanted to have kids. Yeah. You know. And I didn't want to see the way a lot of military families went, where blokes were deploying, getting split up, kids, you know, not seeing their dads and stuff. I didn't want that, so I got out and started working for the military.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm going to say, there's I mean, I know a guy who's been in and he's really struggling to adjust to civvy life. But you're still working in the military.
When I left in 2004, I then went to work. I literally left my job on a Friday, say, and then Monday walked straight back into the same kitchen as a civvy.
Right.
So I was as a corporal one day and then back as a mister the next. And people just couldn't go in, all right, what? I said, well, I'm not having any of the bullshit now, am I? You know, I can go home at the end of my shift. 2 o'clock comes, I'm off. Bye. But I've done that for 4 years, running. I was a head chef of the military hospital in Catterick, in Sergeant's Mess there, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the banter. I was working for another company called Adrenaline in the UK at the same time, and that's an outdoor adventure company doing the Krypton Factor. We were in.
Okay.
That was my part-time hobby, was working for them, just shouting at people running around the assault course. And we done that Davina McCall Biggest Loser program. Yeah. So I was just shouting at fat people running around assault courses. Go on, move! And I loved it. But the guy who got me the job there said, Taff, I'm back in, and all we do is stag on. You want to come and do it, mate? You want to come and do it? And the wife was expecting at the time. I thought, do you know what? I might do one. No, I think, was it? No, Rihanna, my oldest, was born at the time. She was 1. So I thought, right, I want a steady wage. I want my pension. I want all that to kick back in. Yeah. So I went and rejoined. Okay. So, and I thought this time I'm going to use the military for me. I'm going to get the benefit out of it. So I literally played rugby. All my aim was just to play rugby. And I did. Loved it.
So you mentioned you left the military to have kids.
Yeah.
Was it 4 years that you were out for?
Yeah, 4 years I was out for. But lots of practice in between trying to get kids.
I was gonna say, it took a while then for you to actually have your first daughter.
The wife what the wife said, she wanted Watkins time. She just wanted me and her, because we got married quite quickly. We wanted time just as a couple. As a couple. Yeah, and then it took us about a year and a half since went from trying. Yeah. I thought this is never going to happen, so we bought a puppy. Literally 3 months after getting the puppy, the wife fell pregnant. That was the trick. That's the trick then. Yeah, and Rihanna's birthday now is a year and a day after our puppies. Wow. So she was due on the puppy's birthday. So all of the puppy's first birthday, my wife was in labour. And then we had the second one while I was still in, when I was back in Charlotte. She was born when I was in.
So the first one, how does your wife tell you she's pregnant?
I was working at the time. I was in the kitchen. She came in and told me, and my arse dropped out. To be honest, the reality of what was going to happen, just thought, oh well. But then it was all overwhelming. Yeah, my balls do work. You know what I mean? Walking around like 10 men. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that was something that you really wanted. Was there any concern? Like, are we? How old are you at that point?
2007. 27, 28, something like that.
Okay.
I think. I've drunk a lot.
So when your first daughter arrives, how does life change?
My entire I couldn't cuddle her enough. I was still working every minute God sends, because obviously my wife was off work at the time then.
Yeah.
But I've got so many fond memories of that, of just hearing the bouncer and her having bum time on the floor and stuff, and yeah, she was my world then. And she still is now, but it's a different side of things now. Now she's a teenager.
Did you? Because you mentioned you have brothers. Were you late to the party with children, or were people around you having children as well?
Yeah, my brothers already had kids by this point.
Okay.
I think my nephew was 13, 14, and my nieces are a bit older than, about 9 or 10. But again, I didn't see my eldest brother because he was living in Northern Ireland. And my middle brother split up with his wife at the time.
Okay.
So we didn't get access to see the girls. So I tried my best to keep in contact with them, but relationships, with ex-wives and all that, didn't really go that well. So my middle brother came up on the day of my daughter's birth. He travelled up from where he was living at Bristol, I think, at the time, to see my daughter, which was amazing. My eldest brother couldn't, but yeah, she was very well welcomed into the family. But again, I had both my parents had passed away by this point.
Okay, so you'd lost your mum as well by this point.
Yeah, I lost my mum shortly after we got married. So yeah, Rihanna was my world, apart from Kate. But yeah, all my efforts went into spending time with her.
And how long? What's the age gap between the two?
2.5, 3 years.
Okay,
so it's not much.
So the decision to go back into the military are you concerned that potentially you won't be around as much?
No,
for your daughter?
The job I went into was it was basically a job for the old boys, because Iraq and Afghanistan was going on.
Yeah.
And they didn't want lads coming home from there to go straight back onto guarding camps. So they want them, when they came home, they had a chance to wind down, spend time with their families, and not have the mundane rubbish of stagging on the guard for 12 hours. So the job that the military invented was for guys of a certain age that got out, who they could literally train up over 2 or 3 weeks to do the job again, just to stag on, just to look after the camps. And they weren't deployable. We weren't ever going to go abroad.
Okay.
So it was money for old rope, basically. Nobody likes stagging on. Nobody likes doing guard shifts. But it's different when it's your job.
Yeah.
When you've only got to go in for 12 hours or 15 hours, do so many stags on a day and a couple of patrols, then you can come home and switch off. There's none of the, right, I've got to go and do that, then I've got to go and do my job the next morning. That is your job. So it was a lot. And my pension kicked in again. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
My pension, my healthcare. I didn't have to worry about prescriptions and stuff like that. And I didn't have to worry about paying for the dentist. For me, it was all financial. I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I could still carry on with adrenaline on my part-time and stuff, and rugby. That was my main aim, rugby as well.
Yeah.
Support my daughters, get fit. Because I wanted my daughters to see me as an active bloke, something they could be proud of.
Best version of yourself.
Yeah, not some fat knacker, you know, who, not again, because my father was, I never saw my father do anything physical. I never saw him, like, run. Yes, he was a big bloke. He could knock chimney breasts down and, you know, odd job man. But he never done anything physical. He talked a good game of rugby, but I've never seen him play. Yeah. And I don't think he ever did play. And being a Welshman, that's just wrong. So I wanted my kids to see me be the best of me.
Yeah. And
that's what's led me to where I am now. Unfortunately, due to illness, which is it's a rare autoimmune disease I've got. So they both saw me play. Rihanna saw me in my first game back in rugby. My wife and my father-in-law came to laugh at me because they thought I was going to get creamed, you know, against all these big squaddies. Because I'd been out for a while then. And Rihanna, I've got a photo of me coming off at half time, and Rihanna coming running at me with her arms open wide, and that is my favourite photograph ever taken. And then Charlotte and Rihanna came to Leicester to watch me play in the world record game, and I was the only blood injury. And it happened 11 minutes into the game. I got elbowed in the face, and I got split just across the top of the eye. Now eye cats bleed, and they bleed and they bleed. So the girls just saw me, you know, erupt, and they started crying. But they saw me take part in that game. They stayed there for a good couple of hours. So they see me do that, and I'm proud of them. They see me do that. But that's me in my head then. That's me. That's what Dad is. Dad's a fit bloke who's in the army, who can, you know, support the family, who can go bike riding and climb trees and stuff with you. So when an illness hits me, I lose my job, I lose my hobby, I lose what in my head is what makes me their dad.
Yeah,
and that's where my spiral started in my mental health. And then during the first lockdown, I tried to commit suicide. My girls have only just found out as well, so they know now why I did it. And when they found out what happened, they both gave me a big cuddle and went, "Shut up, Dad. Stop being daft." Because all it is now is I'm a different version of me to them.
Yeah.
But it takes me a long time to work that out. So
talk to us about the build up to that, Taff. Like because obviously you mentioned the illness.
So with my illness, I have to shield.
Okay.
So with my wife's an NHS nurse. So she was living in a camper van. Somebody kindly donated a camper van for us. So she was living at the back of our house. Now, the kids couldn't give her a cuddle. I couldn't give her a cuddle. Luckily, it was summer, so I was cooking her meals and putting her out the back door for her. And she was sitting by the back door, so we could, you know, communicate that way. But you couldn't give her a cuddle, you know. And it's shit for nurses at the time, you know. And they've always got a mask up for everything, and people can't even go to Tesco's without wearing a mask properly. So, you know, you've got to feel for these nurses. And then when the easing stopped, Kate came back in. When her ward went, so they're like green, amber, red. Green is there's not going to be any COVID patients on that ward.
Yeah.
When she went green, she decided to move back in, which kids loved. I loved, you know, just being able to give her a cuddle every night. And then on my daughter's birthday, she came home and she was having a bad day. And it wasn't directed at me. She was just having a whinge. How hard she was working, you know, blah, 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 money and all that. And because I'm not working, it got to me and I thought, well, how can I help? How can I help here? And this is just because I'd had a beer. Well, I had a lot more than one beer. I'd had quite a few beers. And in my head, I'm thinking, right, if I'm not here, she gets money. She gets my life insurance. Then she can drop her hours, spend more time with the kids, blah, blah, blah. So without telling her, without planning it, I went into the kitchen, got all my strong medication and went upstairs. I then text my eldest brother, who me and my other brother take a piss out and say he's the head of the family. I texted him and said, look after my girls. And I turned my phone off. And I took all my pills. And then he obviously contacted Kate and said, what's she done? What's she on about? And she's like, oh, you just gone to bed. And then she got me in the ambulance. And when I was in the ambulance, that's when I had my major fit. And I ended up in a coma. And it was a horrible 3 weeks. Like I said to you off air earlier on, people think, you're asleep. I relived a lot of the shittiest times that I buried in my life. And I never want to go there again. And it's like constantly fighting. If Ryan Reynolds ever listens to this, I've got a lot to thank him for, because Deadpool's by my side a few times, helping me trying to get out of that.
Really?
Yeah. Some freaky shit went on in my head in that time.
Does it feel like a dream?
No, it felt real. Honestly,
Okay.
It did feel real. There was times when I thought, I was talking to somebody and it was just a mic, that was holding my oxygen mask in. I was talking to them. I thought I was the only real person I could talk to for months. And I thought I was in New Zealand. I thought I was in Darlington in New Zealand. I don't even think New Zealand's got a Darlington. I thought I'd been drowned out there. I thought I'd drowned in New Zealand. I've never even been there. And that's why I thought I was in hospital. So
it's funny that actually thinking about what you said, because I had similar feeling, if you will. I had a heart condition. I basically had, when I was 27, I had a heart attack in hospital. And I was just sitting on the bed, my eyes rolled in the back of my head, I started fitting, ended up in resus, oxygen mask, all that sort of thing. But while I was on the table, if you call it that, I was playing football. I was on my old pitch playing with the lads, and we were playing football. And I remember it vividly, like it was happening, like it was there. So it's weird, like to say, like, you being in a coma. That's the sort of the feeling that you had, that you was reliving these things and these dreams and these memories.
I was it was one point. I had, in my coma, that they were going to move me back to the UK. But I had to get off my bed and make my own way to the helicopter. Now, and I was going, I can't move. And I was telling this nurse, come and help me. And he was going, no, you have to do it your fucking self. And it was like, I was proper battling for that, however long it was. And probably nothing was happening to my body, but it was a horrible until the next dream kicked in.
Yeah.
Since coming out there, it was recently my youngest daughter went back to school, and she mentioned to her teachers what happened to me. So we've got an invention team coming in to talk to her, to help her express her feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
Because she currently plays Fortnite. She's what now, 10, and have you seen that Angry Kid video on YouTube?
Yeah.
Where he smashes that is my youngest daughter when she plays Fortnite. She goes from 0 to idiot in seconds. And I think that's her side of me, because she came to me one day. She went, "Dad, I want to play football." And I went, "Oh, okay. You can play football, but I want you to play with a rugby mentality, like with the teamwork, respect, individual enjoyment."
Yeah.
And all that. But she literally goes on a pitch and she creams people, and she plays in the boys' team, and she creams some of the lads bigger than her, a lot bigger than her. And she's brilliant. Love her to bits when she's playing football. She is a monster. But when she's playing Fortnite, it's a totally different thing. So we got somebody in there to come and help her and talk to her. And on Monday, this woman never turned up. And I was looking at her through my shared window, watching her, waiting for this woman. Because I'm not supposed to be involved. The mum's not supposed to be involved. It's just them 2 times. And she's sitting there, and this woman never come out. I said, "Right, while you're waiting, come in the shed and help me." And I've got a photograph of her, and I make pens in my spare time now, and she's making a pen for me, and she's absolutely loved it. And then she goes, "Can I help you make more pens, Dad?" So I've now got it's like the penny's dropped. Yes, I'm not that fit, healthy bloke. I'm not that rugby player. But I can be different. I can be a different version of them now. Yeah. I can be, she can come in and shed with me. She can learn to do something different with me. She might want to just talk while, messing around with a power saw safely. So I think us men need to stop thinking of ourselves as so masculinely Viking bollocks, and just understand that what our role is now is to be there for our kids in a different sense. It's not what we want to see the kids to see us as. It's what the kids need us to be. Not, you know what I mean? Them seeing me as a big rugby playing bloke getting drunk and drinking 18 pints after the game, it's not going to be any help for them. But me listening to them or doing a crossword with them, or helping them with the schoolwork, that's what they need.
They need you to be there.
Yeah, not showing off, running around smashing people.
Yeah,
they need a bloke they can sit next to and watch a movie with, and have big arms around and stuff. That's what they want, and that's what they need, and that's what we've as men have got to change. Well, probably there's probably a lot of men out there thinking, "I already do that, you stupid Welsh." But there's, I know there's a lot of it in the military that see it the other way around. And if talking to you now tonight makes one man realise that, well, I've done my job. Yeah. We've got to be the version of us that the kids want, not the other way around. Yeah. And I can't wait now till tomorrow when my daughter's going to make pens. I've said I'll pay her 20 pence a pen she makes. And she can't wait because she sees it as cha-ching.
Child labour, that.
Yeah. It's shush, don't tell the taxman.
You'll have a sweatshop in Catterick soon.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Taff, was there no, because how you described that situation, it was very, this has happened, this is a decision, and that's where I'm going with. Was there any build-up? Was there thoughts before that?
Nope. Nope, okay. Nothing at all. I didn't, when my wife told me, when I came back around and, she wanted to tell me what happened, couldn't remember doing it. Can't even remember doing it now. So there's no build-up, no thought about it. I was upset about seeing my wife upset, I think. And knowing I couldn't do anything about it. I just went for it. And I wish I had seen. I think, do you know what? In hindsight, I think because I was using Phoenix House in Catterick for the Help for Heroes building. At the time, Help for Heroes had 5 centres around the UK that were helping people. Since the pandemic, they've had to shut 4 of them, and Catterick being one of them. Okay. And Catterick supports Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Northern England, so it's quite a lot of big area sports. And that's shut instantly. And I was using the woodshed for my support, and then for the camaraderie of the talking with lads and the banter. Seeing a guy coming in saying he's having his leg off on a Thursday, and you're thinking, "Hey, double the Christmas present for you, isn't it, son?" He's like, "What?" I went, "Your wife can wrap both your socks now, can't you?" And it's that kind of banter. Or I've got one friend who's completely lost the use of his arm, but he's still got it. But this man is built like a brick shithouse. He's doing the Highland Games and all that, but his one arm still looks like he's not used it to wank. So I'm like, "You miss an arm day, Mark," and stuff like that, taking the piss out of him. Yeah. And it is all, if anybody else done it, I don't think they would be, acceptable. But because of who we are, we all, and I missed that. So that got taken away. I've got a 70-year-old best mate who helps me with woodwork. he was in shielding, so he couldn't come around and help me. So I think, and then I couldn't get cuddles and stuff from my wife. And my only friends were a 12, 10 and 13-year-old. So I think it was just communicate, just everything. And the fear of, if I go out, I'm going to get this COVID and I'm going to end up back in that coma.
Yeah.
So I think it was just, enough's enough. There's a problem. There's a solution. Let's go for it.
But I was saying this last night when I was talking to someone. I was speaking to a mental health advocate last night, and we were talking about. So I'm one of those people that didn't think mental health problems were real. You know, I just thought it was people that were miserable and they need to get over themselves. That's pretty much how I used to think about things. And it wasn't until very recently, or this last year, during these lockdowns, where I found myself really struggling with my own mental health. You know, some days I just can't get up in the morning, or sometimes I'm just really struggling to pull myself together, and I feel like shit, and I've got absolutely no reason to be down. But I say to my wife, I feel really low, and I can't understand why. Now I understand it, but and I was saying that although I'm not isolated in as much as I have my wife and I have my son, I'm still isolated from the world, and I guess that's where you were. You had your daughters that were there, but we're still in some sort of isolation, and it's that isolation that really pushes people to struggle.
And I didn't think of it before, as you know, my middle brother is exactly like you. You know, his mental health problems don't exist to him.
Yeah,
because he's an airborne sky god. He is an ex-paratrooper, and you know, no. But I think for me, it was even though I didn't think of it as at time, that mixing in the woodshed every day, or when I was physically able to go there, it was doing wonders for me that I didn't think about. It was subconsciously that was going in there, speaking, even if I didn't make anything or help out on the Viking boat we were making or anything like that. Even if I just went in there, had a little 10, 15 minute bit of banter with somebody, you know, joked, took a piss out of Coops because he was, because he had a face for radio and stuff. This guy, he got caught in a bomb in Afghan, lost both his legs, some of his arms and stuff in his face, lost an eye. And I'm like, you got a face for radio now, Coops and stuff. And, you know, and he'd give it back. You know, he'd give it back just as much. But it's that I think you get very enclosed and you can only see the problems inside these four walls.
Yeah.
Not the bigger picture. I think Coops, you'd love to speak to Coops. He hasn't got any kids, but you'd need to speak to Coops. He's on his Tinder profile. He's 6'2".
Right.
I think that was before the explosion. He's only like 4'4" now.
But we are. We're social animals, aren't we? I mean, we need that interaction, and I think, you know, I've said this many a times, but 10 million people are estimated are going to need new or extra help due to mental health problems due to this pandemic, and it's so real.
Again, you look at the kids and you're thinking they don't need mental health. Kids, you know, what's changing with kids? If I had a year off school when I was a kid, I would love it.
Yeah,
but you don't. They need their friends.
Yeah, 100%.
They need mixing. They need to go out and smash each other on a football pitch or a rugby pitch. They need that contact, and this pandemic is going to be massively big problem afterwards, with people needing to mix. We, us, the guys in the woodshed at Catterick, are planning to make another woodshed. Now Phoenix House is unfortunately shut. We're going to open another community one just because we know there's going to be a need for it. And it's not just going to be for veterans, it's going to be for anybody. You know, I like I said to you off screen, I've donated that horse for kids' mental health charity down south. because there's going to be such a need for it afterwards.
Yeah.
And hopefully more people will start listening to your podcasts and stuff and realise that and reach out. Go and speak to a mate.
Yeah.
I hate Zoom and I hate these, podcast type things and these talking to people over, because I'd rather have face to face and physical contact.
100%.
If that's what you need now, use it.
Yeah.
Technology is there. It's good now, but it's not gonna change the world. As in, it's not gonna replace physical contact.
No.
You need to go and go up to a friend and give him a bear hug. And when I first met my wife, we weren't a cuddly family. Me, my parents, my brothers, we never cuddled. First time I met my wife, she gave me, big cuddle and all that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then her parents instantly, they met and they come up making big cuddle. And I was like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
Now it's second nature.
Yeah.
And I haven't given her dad a cuddle in over a year.
Yeah.
Even when I came out of hospital and he's dying to give me one and I'm dying to give him one. And that, that's what we need. We need to give each other big bear man hugs.
Yeah, and I think for the time being, we just need to talk to each other because and that's the whole aim of this. The reason I started this was, everybody just assumes that dad or son or mate we're okay, we're lads, Steve, be all right. That's the mentality, and I think especially when you get older, the friends start to drop off, and you go from having a friend of this pool to this pool to this pool, and then that whole social contact becomes less and less. So the whole point of me starting was to encourage people to just text. I mean, one of the first blogs I wrote was, look, just message 5 of your friends that you've not spoken to in a while. Ask them how they're doing, how are they.
And I think it's when your kids are in like this, from like 5 to 15, that your social group just shrinks so much.
Yeah.
And then when they start leaving the nest and stuff, and that's when you start spreading your wings again.
Yeah.
As a man. But my generation and probably your age as well, you didn't talk. You didn't talk to your dad. You didn't cry.
No.
You got on with it. And it's bollocks. It is absolute bollocks. Nothing better than a good cry these days.
Yeah.
And if you need to go and talk to another man and give him a cuddle and go, "Hey mate, let's have a chat, shall we? Let's have a brew. Put your Zoom on, let's have a brew."
Yeah.
We need to. We do it now once a week. I'm talking to 70-year-old blokes on Zoom about woodworking. Yeah. And I tell you what, it's the best hour I get a week.
Yeah.
Because we just chat and shit.
Yeah. And the older the people are, the more they need that as well. Is it the campaign for loneliness, which encourages people to talk to older people? I mean, that's a brilliant initiative. Because
I'm getting into that group now. Yeah.
Taff, was it obviously what happened to you? Was there any support from the military at all?
There was no support from the NHS at the time. When I got, the local mental health teams, there was none of that. Help for Heroes picked me back up afterwards, because they were helping me with my case beforehand, with my pension and all that. And then when I woke up from my coma, there was loads of emails going, "Look, we haven't heard from you. What's happening?" So I messaged them. And they've got me into mental health support since.
Okay.
But that's taken 6 to 8 months to get.
It's too long, isn't it?
A 1-to-1. But, they're snowed under. And that's a mental health for veterans.
Yeah.
I think in that catchment area I told you about, the northeast Scotland,
yeah,
there's been about 13 suicides in veterans in this lockdown. And I know there's been about 5 in this area itself. And that's just because we can't meet up face to face. A lot of guys, and I'm still the same. If I'm doing it, if I can't meet face to face with somebody, like you can see my face now, so I can't lie. But if somebody said, "How are you doing, Taff?" over the phone, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Oh yeah, I'm great." That's our natural reaction.
Yeah.
So I think. Oh, she's back again. Back again, being nosy. That's why, because we can't have that face to face, and there's a lot of guys that don't like this technology stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it'll start getting better. But the NHS need more support. Mental health teams needs more support.
Yeah.
And if they're not there, it just needs a slot to grab a mate by his shoulder and go, "Give me a big cuddle, you daft bugger, and have a cry with me if you need to."
Yeah. And I think that's, we can sit here and say all we want. We need the NHS to help. We need the government to get involved and provide more funding. But the reality is that's probably not going to happen short term.
I'm not being funny. You know, Boris couldn't do any more. He couldn't do any more. You can't just magic these people out his arse.
No.
It takes time to train them up. There was already a need for it beforehand.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they were fighting fires then. They're not going to be able to do it anymore now.
Yeah.
And even if you put Captain Hindsight, Keir Starmer in charge, he's not going to do any different either.
No.
You know, it's nobody's fault. This is just a natural, a global emergency that nobody could see coming.
No.
And it's not going to change overnight. This is going to be, you know, it doesn't matter how many more Captain Toms we get marching miles and miles up his road. We need to individually get involved and help a mate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, grab your mate on Zoom, have a beer, have a chat.
Yeah.
Have a family games, Zoom night and stuff for.
Yeah.
You know, just sit around and watch a film with your family. That's one of the biggest things. Have family time. Turn your tablets off, get off your Xboxes, and have a game of Monopoly, and we'll fight over a Monopoly fight.
I remember those days.
Oh, we still up. She's not just like that with Fortnite, you know.
I've got all that to come. My lad's only he's 3 in May, so we're quite lucky that he's still fairly young. But yeah, we've got all that to come.
No, I've got the hormones kicking in now. My oldest one as well. So she's 13, coming on 30. Only 6 more years, and they can both leave home.
Yeah. Join the military.
Yeah, they're off.
Taff, what are the hopes for the future for yourself?
My biggest hope is to be happy. I just want to be happy. And I want my girls to be happy more than anything. Like I said, I laugh and joke 6 years' time they're out. You know what? 6 years' time and onwards, I want me and the wife to go on a cruise.
Yeah.
I want me and the wife just to have some us time again. And, you know, look back on this time and go, do you know what? We made it. It's done. And just to chillax. I hate that word. Why did I say that? My youngest daughter, I just wanted to be happy, you know. And I just want them to be whatever they can. Apart from that, I haven't got any big dreams. I maybe sell a few more pens, maybe make another rocking horse for charity. But yeah, I just want my girls to be happy more than anything. I'm not really fussed about myself.
No, but you need to be, because you're, like you say, for them to be happy, you're going to need to be happy. Yeah,
but my happiness will come from them, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
They're reaching their goals, if they're achieving their dreams, you know. With Charlotte now, she's like I said, she's massively into football.
Yeah.
So after lockdown, I'll be hoping to take her to see Man United ladies play.
Okay.
Because she's a big Man U fan. So I'll take her to watch the ladies play.
Yeah.
I would take her to the man's game, but the crowds are worse. I took her to a Middlesbrough game once, and they were all shouting at the female linesperson. And I was going, well, mate, I've got a girl here who's aspiring footballer. Would you just give her a chance? She hasn't done anything wrong. Yeah. Some of the abuse was just awful. So I want to take her to a girls' match where it's an inspiration for her then. Yeah. She's seen England ladies, but it's England. But that's who she'll play for, because the wife's from Yorkshire. So yeah, I've lost that one.
Well, you never know. Giggsy was born in Manchester, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Charlotte won. She's going to be England. she's going to be England all the way through. But you know, if she turns up playing for England, I'll be the proudest dad in that stand that night. Yeah. I won't wear an English shirt though, but I'll be the proudest dad in that stand.
You will if she asks you to. I know.
No.
Not even with a name on the back.
No. I wear a Welsh one with a name on her back. You hear it on the BBC commentary, and there's her dad in the Welsh shirt when even Wales not even playing.
No, look. So just wrapping, Taff. Where are the some local charities that you're involved with? Do you want to just? You mentioned it before. What was the house called?
It's Phoenix House. So it's
Phoenix House.
Help for Heroes is the charity that helps me out a lot.
Yeah.
There is going to be a woodshed in Catterick, which is going to be for everybody. Which after this pandemic, we're hoping to get off the ground.
Yeah.
And I've just been in and supported the Don't Lose Hope charity, which is in Bourne in Lincolnshire.
Okay.
And they're raising funds for mental health support for adults and children. And that's why I give them a rocking horse to auction off, and it raised over £1,000. So that's going to pay for like 30 counselling sessions for children.
That's brilliant.
So, yeah. Apart from that, I'm just happy and helping anybody I can.
Good. Well, look, I hope everything goes well for you in the future. Hopefully we can stay in touch. And yeah, if you can, anyone else you want to recommend my way to come and have a chat, feel free.
I will do. I'll try and give you Coops. But like I said, he's got a face for radio, yeah.
Well, we do a second podcast actually called Virtual Social, which is like we just chat about everything that's going on in the world, and that one isn't recorded. It's just the radio, like you say. So maybe we'll get him on that.
No, Coops he is actually one of the faces for Help for Heroes.
Okay.
You'll see his advertisement running. He's the ginger kid in a wheelchair. But he's a brilliant lad. Proper good lad. Love him to bits. Well, love him. I love him. Not you know what I mean. I know he's in bits, but I love him.
Wrong phrase. Wrong turn of word there.
He's a brilliant man. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, Taff, it's been brilliant speaking. No, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. Like I said to you sort of in the build up to this, I think what you've obviously been through is terrible, but coming out on the other side, you know, hopefully you can get your life back together. Your kids can grow up, like you say, just to be happy. And if there's anyone just listening to this who is feeling like they're at that point, and if this is going to just encourage them to have a conversation with somebody, and maybe that can change the momentum of where they're going. Even
if they want somebody who's not related to them or not in their social group, and they just want to reach out, find me on Facebook. I'm on there. Yeah. Drop me a line. I'll have a chat with you. Yeah. Because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. No, well, I'll link, when I post this, I'll link you in it. So if people do want to reach out to you, they can do. Yeah, by all means. Love them too. Brilliant. Listen, Taff, appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. And yeah. Cheers. Cheers, mate.